Well, hello everyone.
Hi.
This is Brendan with Poets and Quants. Welcome to Fridays with Sandy. Today we're going to have a mock interview with a candidate who will be walking into an interview with an alum of London Business School soon. Our candidate has a very impressive GMAT score, 760, which no doubt made the folks at LBS stand up tall in accepting him. Ishu is from India. He's worked several jobs. He's currently with Adobe. He started out with Capgemini. Um, Sandy, you going to put him through the paces?
Thank you, John. Issue, hi. Uh, let's get this clear. You've got your real interview for LBS tomorrow, very soon, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And what's the format of that interview?
So it's an in-person one.
Aha, good. Where is it?
It's in Bangalore, in India.
Good.
With an alum, correct?
That's correct.
And alumni interviews tend to be kind of free form. At LBS, they can be anywhere from 1 hour to 3 hours.
Okay. Very often the first question in an interview is, hey, how are you? How you doing? Could you tell me what you're doing now?
Yeah. So hi. I currently work at Adobe as an insights specialist in their marketing strategy team, global marketing strategy team. So
Okay,
I work.
let me back up there. Insights specialist, you really have to put that in quotes. That's not something that people are used to. So you have to like stop the movie and go, right now I work at Adobe and my title is something they call insights specialist. You get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
and
someone might not know what that really means.
what is an insights specialist?
So the job of an insights specialist is similar to that of a internal consultant. So we leverage data, and using data we come up with insights, and we try to
That
recommend
sounds great. Can you give me an example of something you've done recently that's,
Yeah.
to the
So
extent you can, that it's not confidential?
yeah, so Adobe launched a recent offering. I can't name them, but yeah, it launched a recent offering for which we were trying to understand what the TAM is, what kind of customers will have the propensity to buy it. So we worked through the list of customers that we have, and we wanted to sell to them, but we wanted to also
Hey, John,
prioritize.
I don't know where you are. I'm lost. I'm not following this. This is critical, man. If you can't do this, it's very damaging.
Yeah. So should I start over?
Yeah. Just tell me something you're doing. Could you tell me something you're doing now? Or what are you doing now?
So currently, so my work is divided into two parts. The first part is I work with the sales ops team to recommend them using data and insights. What are the next steps in their sales ventures? I recommend them what deals they should prioritize to enhance their pipeline coverage. So it's a B2B business overall. So very strategic. It has to be very strategic in a way that we have to focus on deals
Hey,
that are
John,
going to.
you following this?
No, it's a little too jargony or
You got to make it real simple.
too much curtain raising.
One of the things I'm like an internal consultant. What I do is tell our sales team based on a lot of data that we have. I tell our sales team some suggestions, and sometimes the sales team comes to me with a question, like what should they say to a prospect? Whatever the accurate version of that is.
Yeah. Okay.
You get it?
Yeah. Yep. All right. So
it's real important.
yeah, maybe I should start over. So
yeah, well, we can always start over here. You only get that's something you can't do tomorrow.
So I work as an insight specialist, and my job is divided into two major parts. The first one is I work with the sales operations team, where I help sellers to improve their strategy in selling into the accounts that they're selling in.
And when you say
I
sellers, you're talking about your own company's sales team, right?
Yes.
That's an odd way of saying it. John, am I wrong or am I crazy?
Yeah, you just say our sales team. Yeah.
Yeah, I help our sales team. You got to make it conversational and you got to make it simple.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to break your balls, pal, but this is critical.
All right. So I work with our sales team to help them accelerate revenue and their sales. So I leverage data and tools and tech to find out insights that can help accelerate our revenues. And I lead weekly sessions
That
with
helps
sellers to
help
lead
the
them.
sales team, sell stuff. Is it any
Yeah.
more complicated than that? I mean, can you give me an example?
Yeah, so for example, I have built a propensity tool for the sellers to leverage it, and they can, based on the propensity scores of accounts, they can find out which accounts they can easily sell into and which accounts are the big wins accounts. So they leverage those tools. It's built.
Doesn't the sales team know that?
So not really. So the sales team did not used to leverage data and insights before, so they would only work on accounts that they were given from the leadership. But then we realized there was a big gap in terms of, identifying the accounts that actually had a lot of growth potential, that could actually bring a lot of money to the table. So this was changed after we built the tool. We optimized the entire process, and we
All right.
realized that there are
It
new
sounds like
accounts.
there was a former regime and then there's a current regime. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah.
That's part of a very helpful background. One of the things I've done with our sales team is during a prior regime at Adobe, we were doing this and that. And then in the year, whenever it was, we started a new approach, which was this. Okay, can you say that?
Yeah. So earlier, our sales team used to work on accounts that were given to them from leadership, but eventually we realized that there was a bottleneck in terms of the growth of our accounts, in terms of dollar values. And then we sat together as a team and strategized as to what are those gaps where we can sell more to bring more dollars in our plans. So
When
that
you
led,
said we sat together as a team, who are you talking about? Are you part of this? How you're an insight specialist. Do you hang out with the sales guys?
yes,
Or
that's a part of my job. Yeah.
that makes things a lot more clear. I'm like a consultant to the sales team. I'm like an internal consultant to the sales team. And I'm kind of the data guy. I have access to data that Adobe has, some of it is confidential. And using that data and my kind of algorithms, et cetera, what I suggest to the sales team is 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's true.
We're going to try this one more time. It's just critical, man.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you. Let's get this show on the road. Could you tell me what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I work at Adobe as an insights specialist. So my work is divided into two parts. The first part is I work as an internal consultant to our sales team, where I help the sales team strategize in their deals. I have built a model that the sales team uses to prioritize accounts that they should target to maximize our revenues and sales. Second part of my job is with the marketing operations team, where I work with the team to optimize our entire leads management cycle in the marketing ops. And we have built different tools, and we have placed all kinds of operational
Yeah, what you need is
tools
a
that
quick
can.
example of each. For instance, let me tell you, what I do is I'm kind of an internal consultant to both our sales team and our marketing team. And I'm kind of, I'm kind of the data guy. So when we get together and have strategy meetings, I'm the guy who can help them. I can provide data to them, and from my own understanding of the data, I can suggest things. That's a mouthful, but let me give you a couple of examples.
Yeah.
And then you give one example for sales and one example.
Yeah, give me one example. This is critical, man. You need
specific, very specific.
Yeah. So for example, for one of Adobe's new offerings, I have built a propensity tool that the sales team uses, and it shows a list of accounts with propensity scores that help them choose the most important accounts to sell into. So they use our tools.
what does propensity mean in that context?
That's likelihood to buy, the propensity to buy for our customers. So we have a list of customers that have been
And how do
prioritized.
you formulate that?
We have used some like data science algorithms to come up with that list, incorporating many variables, business variables.
So that's what you do,
Yeah.
all by yourself. That's your internal team. That's your real expertise, coming up with
Yes.
these propensity profiles. That's it. PPs, propensity profiles. That's a good way to talk about it. And then, can you give me an example of, to the extent you can, of something you suggested and what happened as a result of it?
Yeah, as a result of it, we have achieved great growth quarter on quarter. For example, for last quarter that we closed, quarter 4 23, we achieved a 60% increase in our sales. That went from $3.2 million to $5.1 million.
Yeah, that's
that
great.
offering.
How? The question is how? What role did you play as being the inside specialist?
Yeah, so earlier our sales team used to target only the big accounts, but given we had been hit macroeconomically, there was recession, and big customers were not buying so much of our deals for license. So we realized
Now,
what are those
you're bringing in the whole world, the macro economy. You got to answer the question, answer it clearly, and answer it immediately.
Yeah, okay.
To the extent you can. You give me two quick examples.
Yeah, so we helped the sales team to find out some accounts that were like diamonds in the dust. So they were high growth accounts. They did not have strong business with us just yet, but they were growing very quickly. So we realized that these are the accounts that we can target because they have a lot of potential.
Yeah, how did you figure that out?
So we used a few metrics, such as we also assisted. We got some assistance from the research team that they helped us build the financial state. Get the financial data for those accounts, and we realized that they are showing like a lot of growth quarter on quarter or year on year. So we realized that these are the accounts that have huge likelihood, or they can potentially be the big customers of Adobe. And apart from that, there were some other factors, such as whose renewals is coming up. So there's a good likelihood to upsell into them.
You need to get that story very clear. Let me ask you this. When you went to the sales team and you said, we've identified three possible, high growth clients, did they say, man, how'd you do that? Or did they say, yeah, everybody knows that?
Yeah, so I walked them through like our basis of why they're high growth accounts and why they should be interested in selling into. And of course,
You're
they
not
took our
answering the
advice.
question. Was this news to them, or was this
It was news to
just you
them.
doing your job? It was
It was
news to them.
Yeah. So their traditional approach was to only upsell into accounts that we already had business with, like big accounts that they used to sell into. So I, with my team, worked on finding those accounts that had huge potential for growth. And they really took our advice, and that accelerated our sales bookings for the last quarter.
Were those high potential accounts you already had, or new accounts?
So they were new accounts for the part of business that we do.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
And then did the sales team say, well, what happened? What was the result of this?
Yeah, so they were really interested. I mean, not all of them, but most of them were really interested in doing further business with us, buying our supports and services. So that added a few $1 million. Let me just say that.
Forgive me. Who were you selling your services to? Your own sales team?
So we have our license. Adobe has its licensed products that our customers buy. And on top of it, we attach services and support. So I am a part of the services team. And because our TAM is all accounts that we already have, license deals with. So we have to find out those accounts that will also buy support and services from us. So that's consulting, tech consulting, implementation, and projects like that. So our license users, they buy these services.
I'm not following it.
Okay.
John, am I?
Yeah, what you want to just give the answer. I work for clients, or I work for my sales and marketing team in a support role. That's it. Real simple. And then you want to stop in a way because you want them to ask the second question, or if they need clarification, you want them to ask for it.
Yeah, if you say I work for my sales and marketing team in a support role, they say, well, what do you do?
Yeah. And
That's
let
a
them ask.
fine way for the thing to.
Or based on body language, you decide whether you should say more or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
You,
I
you
mean,
should say
the
after
takeaway is
this mock
always go to the answer. Always go straight to the answer. Don't wind up. Don't raise the curtain. Just go right to the answer and then let it lay.
Yeah, that you got to get that straight. It's something that's going to come up, and it's something that frequently is the first question. What are you doing? Give me an example of that. Okay, so if you want some homework, I'd practice that. Okay.
Yeah, sure thing.
What
Can
about the
you?
big question? Why the MBA and why LBS?
Yeah. So I spent 4 years at ZS working in the healthcare consulting space, and the rationale for moving to Adobe was to get acquainted with the tool and technologies that product companies use, because eventually I aspire to build a healthcare firm for India market, and for that I moved to Adobe, transitioned to Adobe because Adobe was an AI leader, a tech leader, and I knew that it could be the right place for me to
Hey, Ishu, do
learn.
you mind if I ask you? Do you mind if I ask you something? What's the question you think you're answering?
I mean, I'm just contextualizing why an MBA, because we just talked about Adobe. So I thought I would contextualize on my long-term goal that I seek to follow post my
But
MBA.
what you want to say is you don't want to give all a preamble. What you want to say is, I want an MBA because I want to take the next step in my career. I want to go
Mhm.
from blank to blank. Done. You know what I mean?
Got it. Okay. Mhm.
Here's a useful
Right.
question that you may not get asked, but being able to answer it will provide you with a lot of information you can apply to other questions. Can you give me a roadmap of your career after business school? Like, what do you want to do as your first job? And then what would be a good second job? And where do you see yourself at the end of your career?
Yeah. So right post my MBA, I'm planning to join a strategy leadership role in a health tech startup, preferably in an emerging market such as the Middle East or Europe. A lot of things are starting out in the Middle East with regard to healthcare. So I think that could be a right place for me to start out my journey.
Could you
So
name
that
some? Would this be a rotational leadership program?
with
Startup.
the Middle East campus.
What's the first job you want after business school?
Strategy leadership, sorry, if you did not hear me well. Strategy
Strategy
leadership.
leadership and healthcare startup.
Yeah.
That may be a hard job to get. It could be a company that hasn't even formed yet.
Yeah, but there are quite a few companies that have started out already, and a few that are starting out in the Middle
Name
East.
some.
Yes, for instance, M42 is a big giant that has just, 2 years back, it was formed from a collaboration between a big tech company called G42 and a big healthcare company called Mubadala Health. So they have formed in a collaboration, they have formed M42, which is a company that has
Okay, so
26,000
here's the
employees
answer for
already.
you. Right after business school, a great job for me would be in a rotational leadership or a strategy leadership program in a company like M42, which is a what? Just say it real fast.
Yeah. So post my MBA, I aspire to join a leadership role in a health tech startup in the Middle East. So there are a few companies such as M42 that is growing in with healthcare and AI together, and they're building they have built several healthcare tools leveraging AI, and I aspire to join a company like that. Other than M42, there are also some companies like Pure Health that is starting out in the AI field. They have created a unified app wherein wherein an individual will have all kinds of health data incorporated, and they'll be tracking the health using AI features, where one can track their health, trace their journey over the past few years, or the historical data using
Yeah,
historical data.
you got to make all this shorter. You got to make the answers real short. You just keep talking, man. You're very damaging. If you're lucky, the guy will interrupt you, and that probably will happen. But you've got to be able to, in terms of preparation, answer these very common questions in a very concise way, just as going in there with your story. Like this, tell me what job you would want right after LBS. You should say, a great job for me after LBS would be this title at this company.
Mhm.
And then they'll say, okay, and what would be a good job after that? So let's do the after that, second job.
Yeah, so after spending a few years learning about how a health tech startup works, and once I have equipped myself with all the learnings around business and growing and scaling a healthcare business, I plan to build a healthcare firm of my own back in India, where I'll try to solve a major healthcare problem. So
How are you going to do that? Is that your second job? How hard is that going to be? Have you made preparations for this? Do you think, are you familiar with what the funding environment would be for that?
yeah, so I mean, I'll spend a good few years at M42 because that's my company of preference. And I'll go through the entire 0 to 1 of a healthcare product there that leverages AI and tech. So I will probably get the chance to understand all kinds of business horizontals such as finance, operations, sales, and marketing. So if I get the opportunity to understand the entire horizon of business through that opportunity, I'll continue working in that field. And once I know that I've equipped myself enough with all those skills that are required, I will go back to India to found my own healthcare focused firm.
Is there someone who's a role model for you, someone who has done something like that, so that you could follow that road?
So I know some people who are staying in the Middle East and they're working on a few things like that. But since I think that I attach myself with the problem that India is facing with regard to healthcare, so I would want to come back to India. But there is nobody that I know who's doing it, at least from LBS. But in fact, so sorry to digress, but the person that I'm going to talk with tomorrow is doing the same thing. She's a founder of a health tech firm herself.
The person who's interviewing you for real.
Yeah.
Well, that'll make life easier. There'll be a lot less explaining to do.
Yeah.
My guess is her interview is going to be at a very granular level and a lot of gossip, about companies in India, and do you know that guy, and do you know that guy, etc.
Yeah.
But I can't help you too much with that. Just get a good night's sleep.
You have everything going for you. You have a super high GMAT score. You've worked for 3 global, well-known companies that are highly respected. You got your interview. Clearly, you want to go to LBS. It's your only choice. Just answer those questions directly, and you're going to get in.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just don't worry about having a superstar performance. Just don't
just be
flunk
very
the
practical.
interview. Yeah, just answer the questions and let them know you want to go, and you could operate within their curriculum, etc.
You've got
last question we gotta ask.
everything you need to get in and do well. So what you don't want to do is make the interview disqualify you.
Exactly. And last question that I gotta ask you. You got a silver medal in snooker. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so snooker is something that I'm the most passionate about. So that's my primary hobby. And I find
what is it?
What is snooker?
So snooker is a table game. It's similar to pool and billiards, if you've heard about it. And it's more elaborate. There's a bigger table. The pool table is very, very small compared to this one. And it's a game of 2 people, and very meditative, I would say. We have to be very focused. We have to be very strategic. And the person who ends up with more points wins. just like food.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think you're going to be, I hope you're going to be the snooker champion of London Business School the next time we check in.
I have no doubt you will be. Ishu, good luck to you, okay? We're rooting for you.
Yeah, thanks for being a good sport. Yeah.
Just answer those questions straight out,
Yes.
and you're going to do fine. Okay?
Yep. Thanks a lot, John and
All
Simon.
right. And for all of you
Very
out there,
valuable.
good luck on your interview if you're going to get one. It's John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You've been watching Fridays with Sandy.